right, 25 minutes before 11 o'clock. Joe Reichel is in the studio. This is Damage Control. Joe is from Damage Control Services, and he will fix your home if it's been damaged or give you advice right now on the phone. The number is 622-9622 if you want to call Joe, and the advice that he gives you is, of course, free. You just ask. You just ask for it. Good morning, Joe. How you doing?
Good morning. Free advice all the way around.
How you doing? The other day we saw you. You were out on the streets and
for Art Walk.
Yeah, we were in a different role. You were a pedestrian and we were musicians. At that moment,
I liked it.
We had a guy in this morning and he was talking about a tool. It's an app for your. It's an app. It sounded like it was a device that it connects to your phone. Anyway, it's called. I wrote it down so I could ask you about it. A smart measure. I asked him how much. It was $129. And I watched the video of it. So you hold it up, and it'll show you basically like how many square feet your room is or how far away the wall is from the other wall and that kind of information. I thought, wow. I mean, how often would a novice trying to remodel their home get the question, how many square feet of carpet do you need? How much paint do you need? You never know how much you need.
Yeah, that's a something that's hard to figure out unless you know the calculations to do that. But here's the nice thing about it. Typically, when you talk to a professional, say you're going to pen flooring, you're going to get new carpet for a room. If you know the room's dimensions, they know how much carpet it's going to take.
That's all you need then, just to measure it.
Yeah, just the dimensions. So you can go down to or out to Grandpa's toolbox and grab his tape measure and measure it out. And, typically, your room might be an odd size or whatever.
Odd shape. Like this is kind of an odd shape, right?
Well, this room is an odd shape. Let's just say it's a square room and it's 12'6" by 10'2" or whatever. I mean, if you give them those numbers, they're going to add a little bit on it for waste. And, there you go.
All right, so it's as easy as that.
It's as easy as that.
Just give them the numbers, let them do the math about how many square feet it is.
And typically, if you're going to the paint store, you could give them, this is the size of your home, how many bedrooms or whatever, and they'll give you the amount of paint that you'll need real close to the...
And the amazing thing about paint is that if you don't have it, like in the old days, if you didn't get enough, it was a real challenge getting that exact same color. But today, I mean, they have formulas.
The technology today is incredible, and that's where, if you have just even a sample of the paint, whether it's a board with some of the paint on it or a piece of the drywall with a little bit of the paint, a speck, they can do a sample and test that, get the exact match to that.
Isn't that amazing?
It is amazing.
They can even do that. So remodeling is something that also comes up a lot this time of year, and I'm not so sure if there's a tax write-off. That's why they're doing it, but a lot of people seem to be doing it.
Not so much a tax write-off as far as that, but a lot of people get their tax refunds, and they want to use that to
that's what it is.
To do upgrades in the house, and that's a great time to do it, because if you have that money that's been set aside or money that you've saved throughout the year, then you want to specifically you got family coming over or whatever, you want to do a little fix up. So
you don't necessarily need to have some damage if you want to hire somebody with your skills.
The best thing is to not have the damage. So
yeah,
and that raises a whole nother conversation. I talk to people all the time, and they say, hey, I think I might have an issue. I need you to come out and look at it. I had a lady call me the other day. She's got a roof leak. She knows there's a roof leak, and there's compounding issues as far as why it hasn't been fixed yet. It's not necessarily her house, but she has a roof leak. She's got water damage. Every time it rains, she sees where the water's coming in at, and it's causing problems on her ceiling. But yet, the best I can understand is that the owners of the home are more afraid of what it'll cost to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
So, here's my advice to that. If you have damage in your house, so whether it's...
So she's renting.
She's a renter.
I gotcha.
If you have damage in your house, if it's, a spot in the ceiling where water has come in, and, right now we've got one, beautiful weather, no rain, it's best to fix it now.
Yes.
Rather than to wait and, have torrential downpours and more damage. If you've got if you've discovered a leak in your shower, or tile coming off of the shower, because tile will come off the wall. Because the grout is cracking and falling out, and water's getting behind there. It's better to fix it now than to wait. It'll be a lot less money, a lot less problem, a lot less issues. So if you've got, let's say a pipe leaking under your sink, for example. It was something we've talked about before. That's dripping under there, and hose. The plumbing's leaking. It's best to get it fixed now than to wait, because it's just going to cause more damage to your cabinets, and that drip could turn into a bigger issue, and all. It could get bigger, and all of a sudden you've got a huge problem. You never want to postpone things. It's kind of like our health. If you've got something wrong with your body, it's best to take care of it. Go to the doctors and get it fixed when it's small, and that way you don't have to.
There you go.
You don't have serious problems later on.
So if you have a limited amount of cash and you're thinking about remodeling, maybe the first thing to do before you remodel is to do maintenance on some of the things. Like you've brought up the water heater before. That sometimes goes overlooked, right? Well,
there's lots of things that go overlooked in the house, and that's why it's very important to do the constant maintenance on things.
Joe Reichel,
just like your car.
Just like your car and your body and your in-laws and all that. The phone number to call is 622-9622 if you want to ask Joe a question about maybe the do-it-yourself home repair project that you've got going on. So technology isn't necessary. I mean, you can get Grandpa's old measuring tape, and that's fine.
His yardstick, his wooden roller.
Yeah, well, that makes sense.
Piece of string.
Yeah.
I've never thought of doing that, but I guess if you took a piece of string and you said, "Hey, this is how much I need," they could do that.
Here's the string. Yeah, this is the measurement.
They used to do that, right? Didn't they used to take measurements that way?
It would make sense, wouldn't it?
I guess.
To figure out, I don't know. But this device was kind of cool. I'll show you a video.
That would be neat.
During the break.
There's all kinds. There's apps for leveling and whatnot. So.
But they held it up and they showed a tree, and it showed that the tree was like 32 meters away or whatever it was in meters. I guess you could adjust it to feet.
That would be neat to find out how tall trees are.
It does. It has that ability too.
But the app is how much?
$129.
Yeah, that's more than I want to pay.
It's a lot of money to find out how tall a tree is.
I don't really care to know that much.
It's true.
I could guess.
How tall is that building? You go, I got it around I got an app.
Let me tell you.
I got an app for that.
I've got an app for that.
Do you know that equation? There's an equation, right? You take the distance from the shadow and the angle from the top. I know that thing. I don't know how to do it, but like you take the shadow, like using a phone pole as an example. How tall is the phone pole? Right.
I don't know.
There was some way you take the length of the shadow at that moment, of course, the angle of the tip of the shadow to the tip of the pole. I don't know how you do this. I guess with a compass or something, and it'll tell you, and how far you are away from the pole. I guess.
Neat.
Which I guess that's the same thing as the length of the shadow. All right, we're up at that point where we take a break. So we will take a break, and during the break, I want to show you the video of this Smart Measure Pro. And then we'll be right back. The phone line is open if you want to call Joe Reichel. The number is 622-9622. If you're remodeling, if you are repairing, if it's over your head, if you need a professional, all of those are reasons to call Joe Reichel at Damage Control Services. And right now here on the radio show, 622-9622 is the number right now. And the number at Damage Control Services is?
352-622-5135.
And we'll be right back with Joe.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accidents. A nice day today under partly sunny skies with a high of 72 to 76. A partly cloudy Tuesday night with lows ranging from the mid-50s inland to the mid-60s at the coast. Tomorrow, intervals of clouds and sunshine, but there may be a shower or thunderstorm in spots along the coast, the high 74 to 78. Thursday, times of clouds and sun, high 74 to 78. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
Chip, I know we made believers out of those who thought there was no such thing as a free ride. No interest on most new Fords for 72 months? Well, Ford Lincoln of Ocala and Village Ford of Bellevue is sweetening that terrific deal even more.
Really?
How about free fuel for a year?
Free fuel for a year?
Simply visit FordofOcala.com or MyVillageFord.com. Schedule a test drive of any vehicle on the lot, and you become automatically eligible to be chosen to receive free fuel for a year.
That's just another great reason to shop for your next car, truck, SUV, or crossover at Ford Lincoln of Ocala or Village Ford of Bellevue.
Aside from being eligible to receive free fuel for a year, the very best reason to buy from Ford Lincoln of Ocala or Village Ford of Bellevue is the service, the selection, and of course, the price.
That's right. You don't have to wait for a holiday or, quote, sales event at Ford Lincoln of Ocala or Village Ford of Bellevue. Every day's a sale day.
Where have I heard that before?
Fuel for a year eligibility requires valid licensed driver over 21. One entry per person per household. Must complete test drive. Fuel for a year winner will receive preset amount of $1,200 in the form of a service station debit card. See dealer for complete details.
Ooh, ouch. Does pain have you glued to the couch? Yes, unfortunately it's true that every year we must get older, but that doesn't mean we have to deal with pain in our back, knees, or shoulder. If your muscles and joints are sore, don't worry anymore. Come get acupuncture from me and you'll be pain-free. Acupuncture starts as low as $35 at a Better You Healthcare. Call me, Dr. Erica Olstein, at 615-5566. Stop your pain from driving you insane.
We're saving thousands with Robert Palmer.
So rule number one is always shop around. Always shop around. If you're trying to get a mortgage, if you're trying to get the best credit card, if you're looking at student loans, cell phone bills, you name it, rule number one is always shop around. Always shop around.
That's rule number one, just one more vital part of fighting back to stop being a financial zombie. Yes, you can take the mystery out of the complicated world of finances. Take charge when it comes to your money. Listen in on The Source in 96.3 FM and 1370 AM, Saturdays at 12:05.
Located in Ocala, Renstar Medical Research has offered a wide range of clinical research trials for 17 years. Renstar conducts clinical trials for conditions such as migraines, memory decline, fibromyalgia, and sun-damaged skin. To learn more, call Renstar at 352-629-5800. Help us create a healthier tomorrow by volunteering today. Please call Renstar at 352-629-5800.
Wow, 12 minutes before 11 o'clock, Joe Reichel is here. Joe was just showing me a picture of a house he's working on, and it looks like the house is going to fall over. It's held up by concrete blocks, and they're not straight. They're leaning over. How did that happen?
Well, age. Age is pretty much the determining factor for something like that. And, if a house is
the floor slanted? Are they?
Well, the floor would start to.
But I mean, are they noticing like they're canned vegetables rolling down the?
I don't think it's that bad yet, and that's why they've called to take care of it before it gets too bad. But what happens is you start to notice that the floor is sloping in certain areas, and that the one that they noticed specifically was on the outside of the house. So they noticed that one first and how it was tilting. And what happens is those pads that they're on, it's just starting to give way in the sand. Unfortunately here in Florida we have the compaction rate isn't like it is in other soils because of the sandy mixture. So that is just giving way, and it's starting to cause it to slide over. So
you have to fix
our
that.
job. Yeah, our job then is to go in. We'll make another pad under there, and it'll be a larger pad for that to sit on. So we'll prop it up and get it to where it needs to be, and then put a new pier under it.
Okay, wow. And what are you using? Jacks similar to the jack we use under a car?
Some of them probably, but we've got to be able to get it under there. A jack under a car, well, yes, to use to tell.
So it's similar, but not the same.
Similar, yeah.
Okay.
And sometimes, in order to get it upright, we need to use multiple jacks. So sometimes we can only go so far. And then we have to put another jack in there and jack it up the rest of the way. So there's been different times and different situations where we've got to do multiple jacks in one location.
So that's a house with obviously a wood floor.
Wood floor system, yes.
And it's completely lifted up off the ground, so there's a crawl space under the house.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is that an old design? Do we still build houses like that?
There's houses that are still built that way. Typically, they're built a little bit differently nowadays because they'll do a If it's built on piers, there's a concrete pad, and sometimes there'll be a concrete pier is what it, basically it's a concrete block and then poured solid. So these ones on this house, because it is older, they're not poured solid, and it's just sitting on a pad.
So in
It's
there,
not a concrete
it
footer.
sounds like there's a lot of disadvantages, but I'm thinking one advantage would be plumbing. If there's something goes wrong with the plumbing and you've got it embedded in concrete, that's a hard thing to get rid of.
Well, your plumbing, if you have a slab, your plumbing is typically under the concrete, so it won't be.
It goes through it at one point.
Yeah, it goes through, but it won't be in the concrete, which is.
So is this easier to work on? I mean, if you have plumbing issues, is this because you just have to crawl under the house?
It is a little bit easier to work on in that type of instance, but you also have the insulation factor where you have to have extra added insulation under there, and then you also have to make sure that it's up high enough so that you can get under there.
Is that considered a modular home? Is that what that is?
No, this is a wood.
This is
frame.
just a regular house, just built on piers.
Yep.
There's
wood frame home.
There's a fan of yours. So what is with the modular homes? Are they also above? Like, are they also on piers?
They are.
They are, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And are they held down with straps like a mobile home would be, to protect them from the wind?
And that's the way hurricane straps and ties. Everything that we build that you build nowadays has to be that way.
Oh, really?
Even if it's on concrete. I mean, you've got.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a concrete pad and you've got block walls, at the top of the block walls will be hurricane straps to hold they're truss straps, but they're a hurricane strap to hold the trusses down. So, and everything is built that way.
The phone number right now is 622-9622. Somebody was calling in and they bailed out. I don't know if they realized it was the wrong number or what, but
they decided they didn't want to talk to me.
It is not lit up right now, but if you want to light it up, you call right now, 622-9622. And I don't know if you want to put something, maybe just hash back and forth some ideas. Maybe you're thinking about remodeling. That was the whole point of the last conversation with this measuring device.
Yeah, and that's, like we were talking about with that measuring device, there's lasers out there that, like we use a lot of times for our takeoffs and stuff. If we're measuring a room, it's just a laser, handheld laser that you hold against the wall, push a button, and it shoots a laser across the room. You push the button again and read it, and it gives you how many inches and feet, foot and inches that the room is. So, there's that, or there's just the tape measures that you can use. It's modern technology is pretty cool.
It was pretty interesting watching that video because, for example, they were showing the height of a little girl, how tall she is.
Right.
And the only problem for us, it was in meters, which we don't understand meters.
I'm sure there's a conversion.
But isn't it interesting how technology enables us to do things we didn't think were possible?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I can imagine, for example, in catching bad guys, somebody who steals from a convenience store, for example, they should know exactly how tall he is with something like that. How tall was he? Well, there it is. He was 5'8".
I guess so. That would be cool. You wouldn't have to have that little marks on the door.
Yeah, because who's looking at that?
Hopefully the person isn't there leaving.
Yeah, can you imagine? Oh gosh, I forgot to look to see how tall he was.
I think that's part of the training that you have to get.
Yeah.
Just in case.
By the way, you did a convenience store in Denellen.
We did build a convenience store.
And I went there recently, and I had been there to the old one before there was a fire there, right?
Be Quick, yeah.
Gosh, it was wonderful. I mean, you guys did
that turned out to be a really cool project, and that was a perfect example. He went smaller than the original store.
I thought it was smaller, yeah.
He decided he didn't want to go as big. He wanted to streamline his business to the things that made the most money for him.
Yeah.
For him, and that location, that store was cigarettes and alcohol.
Really? See, it makes sense.
So
it's kind of in the middle of nowhere.
That's why he's got the beer cave in there, which was a really cool part of the project. Right. And then the way the cigarette rack is and whatnot. So it was just a really cool. That was a cool project to work with him and go across work out what his needs were, what his wants were, and it was, and that too was an insurance project from my fires. So, that kind of is raises an interesting thought for me too, because yesterday I got a phone call, and there was a fire over the weekend in a home, and the lady does not have insurance on the home. She rents it out. It's paid for, so there's no mortgage, so she doesn't have to have insurance on it. But
oh no,
now she has to have the cash to fix it.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of one of those things where you have to weigh the odds.
Yeah, because if you think it's not going to happen, it probably will.
Right. You never know when an accident's going to happen. That's why they call them accidents. So whether it's a tree falling on a house or flooding, a pipe breaks and the house floods and lots of damage, or, in this instance, something caught fire. Not sure what it is, but, they had a fire in there. So now,
right.
The renter's out, had to move out, and, the house is uninhabitable right now, and they've got to pay to get it fixed. So that house, even though it was an income-producing home, is now sitting vacant and going to be vacant for probably close to a 3-month period at minimum before they get it cleaned up. Probably could go faster than that, probably at least a month and a half, 2-month process, since they're not dealing with insurance. But, they have to have the funding in order to be able to take care of it.
By the way, there was a story the other day that alerted me to a circumstance that I have. And here, the story was, there was a lady driving past a house, and she saw that the porch light was on fire, and she knew that the house was on fire. So she went into the house. The people were sleeping, and fortunately she woke up the woman and the daughter, and they're out safe, and the house, of course, had a fire, but I don't know to what extent it burned. And it was here in Florida.
Wow.
The cause of the fire was bugs, because there were so many bugs built up in this light fixture.
In an outdoor light fixture.
And I said, holy cow, I've got lots of bugs in my light fixture. I'm not out there with the vacuum cleaner.
Well, and that's something, most time people don't really take care of, and something that you should, because just like this instance, and that's where it tells you, keep everything away from
all these dead bugs. Yeah,
they
build up.
anything that gets around your electric, where it heats up. I never really thought about bugs, but
yeah, I know.
It makes sense.
Who would ever think of that?
I was just last week found out Matt Wilkerson, Verizon Wireless, one time he was driving along and saw a garage on fire, and I guess it was early morning hours.
Really?
and knocked on the door until he woke up the lady and
oh my goodness,
helped her and her dog get out of the house.
Oh wow.
So
wow, I hadn't heard that story.
Yeah, I had never heard of it either, so until last week. It was a good story, though. You never know, and that's where it's always good to be prepared in case.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't carry one, but a lot of times, in our work vehicles, we have fire extinguishers. So.
Fire extinguisher is a great idea as a gift. You know?
It really is a good idea.
Really is. I mean,
especially for the ones that you love.
You probably don't know too many people with fire extinguishers in their homes.
Well, even if they have one, they could always use another one.
Use another one, and training to use it. Once you use it, do you refill it, or how does that work?
Well, the smaller ones are one-time use, but the larger ones you can get refilled.
We're out of time. It's the quickest half hour in the world.
Fastest half hour of my day.
What is your information again? Your phone number and all that?
My direct line is 352-817-6574. That's my cell, and my email, joe@damageflorida.com. That's all spelled out, damageflorida.com.
And my advice, call Joe, get one of his or two of his magnetic business cards, put them on the fridge, in the fridge of somebody you love. You'll have the number when you need it. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Mall Studios. This is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.